These are the lesson 3 activities. A person lowers her hot air balloon gradually, releasing air from it. Let T be the number of minutes that she's been releasing air, and Y be the altitude of the balloon in feet. Assume that the relationship between T and Y is described by the equation Y equals negative 200T plus 800. We're going to circle all the true statements about the equation Y equals negative 200T plus 800. So at first, Y is in terms of T, because Y is alone, Y is in terms of T. And Y is dependent on T. That makes T the independent variable and Y the dependent variable. Next, we're going to use the intercept method to graph Y equals negative 200T plus 800. So we can make a little table where we have both of our variables, T and Y, and we have them each being 0. First, we'll let T equal 0 and find out what Y is. When T is 0, Y is equal to 800. That will be our first point, and our y-intercept. Next, we'll let Y equal 0 and find T. Solving for T, we see that T is equal to 4. This is our t-intercept. We can plot those points on our graph, and using a nice straight edge, draw a straight line. What does the y-intercept mean in this situation? Write a sentence in plain English. So we need to include both of our coordinates of our point. The y-intercept is the point 0, 800. In other words, 0 time has passed, the altitude is 800. So let's write a sentence in English. When the person has been releasing air for 0 minutes, the altitude of the hot air balloon is 800 feet. What does the t-intercept mean in this situation? Again, we're going to want to include both coordinates when we write our sentence. Our coordinates are 4, 0. 4 minutes, at 4 minutes of releasing air, the balloon's altitude will be 0 feet above the ground. So, at 4 minutes, the balloon will be on the ground. It's important to have both coordinates reflected in the sentence. Number 2, a manager at Albert's Appliance has $3,000 to spend on advertising. A 30-second spot on television costs $150, whereas a radio ad costs $50. The manager decides to buy X TV ads and Y radio ads. Write an equation relating X and Y. So X, you can see, is our horizontal axes and Y our vertical. So X is the number of television ads, and each television ad costs $150. So in his budget, it's going to be 150 times X. Radio ads cost $50. So it's going to be 50 times the number of radio ads, which is Y. If we add those up, we can say they have to equal $3,000, as that's the budget. Now, we can use our intercept method to graph our equation from part A. Again, we'll make a little table with our variables and let each of them equal 0. First, we'll let x equal 0 and find y. Solving for y, divide both sides by 50, and we'll get y is equal to 60. Next, we'll find the x-intercept by letting y equal 0 and solve for x. We'll divide both sides by 150. X will be equal to 20. Now we have our points, 20, 0, and 0, 60. We can plot those 2 points and connect the points to have a nice straight line. Now let's talk about the y-intercept. The y-intercept is the point 0, 60. 0 refers to the number of TV ads, whereas 60 refers to the number of radio ads. So in our sentence, we want to include both of the pieces of information. Albert's able to purchase 60 radio ads and have 0 TV ads, or we could say have 0 TV ads and 60 radio ads with his budget of $3,000. The x-intercept tells us, is talking about the point 20, 0. And again, we need to refer to both coordinates when we write our sentence. This time, he can have 20 TV ads. He could buy 20 TV ads and 0 radio ads for $3,000. We always are making sure we have both coordinates in our sentence about our intercepts. Zero radio ads, 20 TV ads. 3. A single piece of wire is bent as shown in the left picture. You can see that one cut through the wire in the middle picture produces 4 pieces of wire, and 2 cuts in the right picture has 7. So in the next one we have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of wire, and the last one, when we have 2 cuts, we have 7 pieces of wire. This is a pattern that for every cut, our wire is increasing by 3 pieces. So when we have 3 cuts, we'll have 10 pieces of wire, and 4 cuts, 13 pieces of wire. So I've just said this, but in words, for every cut, our wire increases by 3 pieces. The number of wire. Next, we're going to write an equation for the number of pieces in terms of the cuts. So I am actually going to graph it before I write my equation. So you can see I'm graphing each of my points. The next point will be 4, 13. I can connect these points to create a line. And now I can write my equation. So I'll have y is equal to 3x plus 1. This is 3 for the number of cuts, increases by the number of cuts, plus we had one initial piece of wire. What does the y-intercept mean in this situation? Write a sentence in plain English. Y-intercept will be the point 0, 1. That's 0 cuts is one piece of wire. So we can say when we have 0 cuts, there's one piece of wire. How many pieces of wire will be produced by 142 parallel cuts? So 142 cuts that's our x value. So we can use our equation we wrote, y equals 3x plus 1, and put 142 in for the x. Solving this gives me 426 plus 1 cut, 427 pieces of wire. Since y depends on x, we call y our dependent variable and x the independent variable.